my dictionary just before I... Hey, boy. Thanks, man. It's the high I just talked to Bill.
Still rocking.
Just talked to Bill.
We're going to call February 5th Drainage Board meeting to order. As y'all can see on the heading of y'all agenda, is East Ascension Consolidated Gravity Drainage District is what we're going to be going by now. Everybody's here. Ms. Fontenot's going to lead us in prayer, followed by the pledge.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you tonight for this great, wonderful parish. We thank you for the freedom and the liberty we have in this United States of America. Father, we just ask tonight that you continue to comfort the family that lost their loved one in Iraq over the past couple of weeks. And Father, we pray a special comfort on all those, Father God, who have children from this parish, both men and women, who are serving in the armed forces right now, that you would bring them home safely. We pray for all of our soldiers across the nation as well, and ask that you bring them home safely and quickly. We ask you, Father God, to heal our land and to bring peace and restore back to this country a sense of safety and security. And we ask all these things, as always, in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 3 is public comment section. Anyone wanting to speak on an agenda item, please sign in. You have 3 minutes. Move on to number 4, acceptance of minutes of December 4th, 2006. Got a motion by Mr. Savoy.
Second.
Second by Mr. Valentine. Any discussion? Any objection? So moved. B, we got the special meeting of December 21st minutes.
Move to accept.
Got a motion by Mr. Dempsey Lambert, second by Mr. George Valentine. Any discussion? Any objection? So moved. Also, January 8th, 2007 minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Valentine.
Second.
Second by Mr. Savoy. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. We'll move on to number 5, the East Ascension Drainage Works Report. It's going to be a little lengthy. Mr. Bill Rules is going to take it.
Mr. Chairman, before that, though, and I didn't have time to talk to you before the meeting, I have 2 requests for 2/3. One is a request for 2/3 vote to consider a contract NRCS. If you know, we reviewed this thing. We had to up the contract once. Well, now they come back to us with another revision to the contract, and I need to explain that to you. And I'd like to have that as a 2/3 placement.
Got a motion by Mr. Barger, second by Mrs. Fontenot to put it as 2/3. Any discussion? Any objections? So move. We'll put that one following your report, Bill. So. Guess we'll put it as G.
Yes, sir.
5G.
And the next request is a 2/3 consideration placed on the agenda, increase in the BKI contract for the McElroy pumping station due to unforeseen problems with the model. And I'd like for you to consider that placement tonight.
So we'll put it on the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Valentine, second by Mr. Savoy. Discussion? Any objection? So move. Put it right behind.
Yes, sir. And both of those things, we just got the figures in the last day or so, and that's why I requested at this late date.
All right. All right, Mr. Rule, you can go ahead.
Before Mr. Rue starts, do we have any more copies of the report? I didn't receive any.
I got one extra one right here.
We should have some more copies.
Everybody else has there?
They put it on that end. That's
Oh, okay. They have one right here also. You can,
Yeah, here we go. You got it.
hand it out when we get to it. This is the, that's it.
Okay, Bill, I think we're ready now.
Okay, first item will be the East Ascension drainage and DPW separation. This is a resolution to accept the intergovernmental agreement, and I'll turn that over to, I guess, you, Mr. Chairman. We met, the executive committee met last week and had a recommendation, but we had, since that time, we've met with the administration, and we have a couple changes in it. So again, if you want to report on our committee meeting.
Okay. Everyone has that intergovernmental agreement in front of them,
So moved.
and they had a couple changes on it, and they are highlighted. Bill, there's no more changes.
As of today, there is something late this afternoon. If you turn, I have it marked. The administration, through Mr. Heisel and Mr. Katz, has some problem with personnel, item number 5 under personnel, which is in the past we discussed human resources taking over and handling our human resource for the drainage district. Since that time, they reviewed it, and they did not have that much of a problem with it early on, but as of late this afternoon, they did have some problems, and it's my recommendation to the committee, or to the drainage district, that we delete number 5 and number 6 totally, and reduce the fee from 4% to 3%, and the drainage district will handle its own human resource department. That's the only major change in this agreement. The other thing that we talked about, emergency operations, the parish president talked to me just minutes ago by phone and said that he's reconsidered. At first they said for his emergency operations that he wasn't for this agreement, but now he says that he's okay with it. So as of a few minutes ago, he is okay with him, the general manager, assuming the command duties for all DPW and drainage personnel in case of emergency. So you just have one person directing activities over there. And again, he's okay with that. So the only main thing is the deletion of under personnel number 5, number 6, and the change in the 4% compensation to 3%. That's my recommendation.
What's the wishes of the board? Any questions? Open up for discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
I'll offer a
Barger.
motion to accept the agreement as amended with the, that's fine, as amended.
Got a motion by Mr. Barger. Second. Got a second by Mr. Shakespeare. Discussion. Mr. Hillensbeck.
What was the motion again?
To accept the intergovernmental agreement as amended with the 3% instead of 4%, and eliminating H&R.
Or is this going to go to the council?
It's a recommendation to go to full council, because this is an intergovernmental agreement with the Drainage Commission and the council.
Yeah, because I really don't like voting on something that was just handed tonight. This, and then we got all these changes being made. I'd prefer to have
A clean
time to go over it.
Again, this is just this is the same document that I sent out 2 weeks ago. The highlighted sections are things that came out about a week ago, and the only thing we're doing is eliminating one of those items that came out over a week ago.
So I'm showing you that you're deleting 2 items.
No, I just said one item being deleted. The other item was going to be deleted, but the parish president agreed with me just a few minutes ago by phone.
Oh, about the emergency operation.
About the emergency operation, that he's okay with it. So that's not going to be deleted. That's
So we're still going to have an opportunity to vote on this.
Correct. In 2 weeks at the next council meeting, it will be brought to the next council meeting for council's vote. Mr. McConnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're deleting this item 5 about the Human Resources Department here. Who do we have in the Drainage Works Department that is qualified to
We will
handle?
if we need to, we'll hire somebody for that position.
I think we will need to.
Yes.
Human Resources is a very sticky widget, as they say, and it's probably about the most complicated thing that you're ever going to be involved with. And I have I have deep concerns that if we don't have somebody who's administering our human resources for us,
If I may comment.
especially, of course you can. I mean,
Yes, sir. The main thing we can do, and one reason I'm not that worried about it is this. The parish has everything in place for the hardest thing, which is your procedure manual, which is your personnel manual, which is your salary schedule, everything. It's just a matter of changing a few words and a few little things in that and accept it by the drainage board, and then you have most of your procedures set up. So it's not like you're rewriting anything. The only thing now you have to worry about is the administration of those policies, which is pretty straightforward. As far as the review committee for any kind of discipline comes to the drainage board instead of to the council. So again, on that end of it, most of it is done, which is the hardest part. You're looking at the administration of it and the benefits administration, and we're looking at hiring somebody to take over that and assist in the training and other human resource parts of it. So we're looking at 2 people for that department.
do you have somebody in mind already?
Yes,
have you
sir,
been interviewing somebody, and we have somebody who is ready to come in?
This came up this afternoon around 3 o'clock, where they had problems with this. So no, we do not. We have not interviewed. I have some people in mind that is capable and can handle this position. And of course, we still have several weeks before we actually going to be changing employees over 100% from the parish to the drainage department.
Yeah, when is that, Bill? Is there a timeline that when all of this transfer is actually going to be taking place? And I understand that we would go ahead and adopt the parish's personnel policy and the personnel manual and the salary structure. I understand that because that makes sense. We've been developing that for the past 6-7 years anyway. So it's in place, and it doesn't make sense to reinvent the wheel. But I still think it's just really important that we have somebody in there who understands HR administration and salary and benefits administration, because I know that that's probably where the most of your headaches come from, and I don't mean to say headache, but you spend a great deal of time dealing with your employees and how the benefits and so forth relate to them, and I'd just be afraid of jumping into this feet first and not having somebody or something there in place. No,
sir, and you're right, but we will have several weeks before that, and to go back to your original question about when that's going to happen, first thing has to happen tonight. You accept the intergovernmental agreement and refer it to the full council. So you're looking at going to the full council in probably a week and a half, 2 weeks, Thursday, week from now. And then once it's agreed to by the council, then we go to the next step, the week after that probably, of actually doing the paperwork for the transfer. So you're looking at about 3 weeks.
Okay, well, I plan on discussing this very thoroughly with my parish councilman.
And by that time, we should have the organizational system put together for us, the human resource department and other things. And that is, if in fact we cannot work out an agreement between now and the council meeting with the parish president and administration, but we're not going to vary from what we suggest here.
All right, and I know you've done a great deal of work into that. Just that pulled at the last moment concerned me, and I just had my question. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Valentine?
Thank you, Chairman Lambert. What I think would be in order here, I did have some discussion with the parish president this afternoon, and he was not aware when I talked with him about the situation dealing with the 5, what we're talking about. It is going to be a detriment, and we have to look at it from both sides, as Mr. Councilman McConnell referred to it. We sit on both ends of this spectrum here when we talk about money. What we might want to do, and I think I'm going to offer this as a substitute motion, is we pass this suggestion or this agreement as is. We need to change it. We can change it at the council level and give some consideration to administration to rethink this situation because it took place at such a late hour. I don't think that the parish president was versed on exactly what the situation was. So I'm going to offer this as a substitute motion that we pass the recommendation for the negotiation of the contract as is.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we got a substitute motion by Mr. Valentine, second by Mr. McConnell. Any more discussion? Mr. Valentine, you want to read that motion so Heather can...
Yeah, the motion is we pass, the substitute motion is we pass the East Ascension drainage separation resolution as given to us.
And approving this intergovernmental agreement
And-
with authorizing the intergovernmental.
And the governmental agreement.
And if I may, one change to 3% to 4% if you're going to go back to the original.
Well,
because the copy you have in front of you has 3% on
Okay, in other words, the original motion would have been 4%. That's what it
4%
needs to be.
compensation.
Right. And the reason why we do it this way, just since we're in a discussion mode here, was a second, right, Councilman?
Yes, it was a second.
Essentially, if it needs to be changed, it can be changed at the council level. We said on the drainage, we've heard both sides here, so let's not, where we have to bring it back to the drainage and get in a situation where we go back and forth. I think we can probably work out whatever differences we need from the Human Resources Department.
Okay. Mr. Hillenbeck?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, I know all of you know my position about what's going on here as far as separation, and here we are now. We're talking about hiring a human resources department, and what we're actually doing is we're having a duplication of services. And I've said all along, this move is not in the best interest of the parish. We're becoming less efficient, and all we're doing is growing the bureaucracy at the expense of the taxpayers. So, thank you.
Any more discussion? We'll go ahead and move on to substitute motion. Any objections?
I object.
One objection? So moved.
And Mr. Chairman, I'll just refer, just so everybody has a firm understanding of what the separation means as per the facilities and the manpower and the assets. The Finance Department and I met over the last several weeks. We pretty much have the assets separated out. We have it where it really comes down to how much the Drainage Board owes the parish, or how much the parish owes the Drainage Board after we get the separation of equipment. And the only thing, we have a number, but I want to mention it now because my next process will be giving this to an independent auditor to get his opinion on if the way the Finance Department figured the depreciation is valid. So we'll be coming back with that amended, or that document for your acceptance. But it's pretty straightforward, and I don't think there should be much of a problem with it. The same thing is with personnel. We have it all identified and separated out, and it's just a matter of transferring paperwork when the time comes in about 2 to 3 weeks. If you notice the attachments, you should have the one document that shows the administration building, and we had this is the executive committee accepted it. I had no comments from the administration on the separation of the front part, basically where the drainage department is and my own office are right now, keeping that as major drainage. And then you have a lot of common areas, which is the back, the bathroom, the hallways, conference room, and the back meeting room. Zoning, I mean, the parish will keep the back part of property, the building where zoning, planning and zoning are now, and also to the, when you walk in the lobby to the left of the lobby. Now they can move that in the way they want to accommodate their personnel. But the office space that we have just shown on this map for major drainage is adequate for at least a number of years to come, and we had no comments from the administration on that. The other document has to do with the shop and floor plan for the shop. And again, it's pretty straightforward. We had no comment from the administration on that. And the last thing is the yard itself, and it's all distinguished down there exactly what storage areas belong to or will be designated to parish government, and which one would be for drainage and which one will be common. And again, no comment from the administration on that. So we feel pretty confident that it's a doable plan. at least for the designation of office space and assets and yard area.
And Bill, I don't think we talked in the executive committee. Explain to them about percentage-wise what was owned by drainage compared to what was owned by road and bridge.
Total figures showed in the 60% range, and it's kind of misleading a little bit because they took the original price and they put in that the parish paid for the property, which was real low. But considering that, it was in the 60%, 65% range, 62% range, something like this. And what we're asking for the drainage for our office space is around a 47, 48% of the total.
So we're asking for less.
For office space, it's just office space, and the rest common area. So we feel it's justified.
Okay. All right.
And that's all I have on that item, Mr. Chairman.
Any discussion on Mr. Valentine?
Mr. Chairman, motion to send it to full council.
Okay.
Parish president may ask for some amendments. That'll give him a couple weeks to do so. But
I'll second that.
Pass it as is and take it from there.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Barger, second by Mr. Valentine to send it to the full council.
Mr. Chairman.
Discussion, Mr. Valentine.
Just for a point of information, Parish President and I did have a discussion this afternoon, and they have not had a chance to agree on all this situation with his administration. So that's why he's not here tonight. He suggested that we go ahead and do the business we need to do, and then we can change it at the council level if we need to. We just have to understand, as a drainage board, we sit both sides, and we can debate that on that issue on the council end. So, in the essence of saving time.
Okay. Any objections? So moved. Let's have to make sure that gets sent to the full council. Okay, Bill, you can move on to B.
Okay, the next item, and you should have a spreadsheet in front of you, and it's the major drainage 2007 major drainage budget as adopted and proposed for reorganization. I'd like to go through this budget. I have finance checking it, and there may be a couple of items in the payroll end of it or the benefits end that may change a little bit, but basically,
Bill, I don't believe we
do you have? Okay, well, they're supposed to put that in your packet. You don't have anything? Well, I'll tell you what. Let me go up to... See if I put it on. And we'll get these copies. It's sure to put in your packet this afternoon. You got it? Okay. Now, what we're looking at here, and again, I want you to start looking at it, but we have to make budget amendments both from the parish and from the drainage commission fairly soon. What we did was, if you look at the first column, that's what's in your budget books right now for your 05 fund, which is your major drainage fund. And it comes out for your salaries and benefits, $4,140,000. After the separation, the 05 fund, if you look at the next column, this is the separation itself. The salaries come out, with benefits, come out to $2,523,000, which is a reduction from the original budget accepted earlier of $1.6 million. If you go over to the next column, that's your 04, which is regular drainage, as accepted last month, $1,434,000. After the separation, that increases because of the way we allocated percentages. It increases to $2,500,000, which is an increase of a little over $1 million. The total funds together, and this is the only way you really get a just look at your position. Both of them together, you're looking at a total of $5,055,000 for your drainage. Now, what you don't see here, and I can put up a little bit later, in this proposed 05 budget, we're actually adding, well, 04 and 05 both. If you look at that $5 million figure, just combined, we're actually adding 17 people to the payroll. That's an addition of 17 personnel, additional personnel that we do not have right now. So while you look at it, it looks like it's still a reduction of $2,500,000. That the 05 and 04 budgets, actually, that figure includes those 17 people. So you're basically spending less money than you adopted already, but you're going to get 17 additional people, for that. Again, you go on down to the bottom, and I'm going to skip the, in fact, go to the next page. And we get to the bottom line of a lot of this. Basically, you're looking at your old budget, the total versus new versus old. Old budget, $11,073,000. That's a combined budget. New budget, $11,399,000. That's a difference of $325,000 increase. But if you look a little bit further up, we're adding, in addition to 17 more people, we're adding additional equipment from $329,000 to $1.2 million worth of equipment. And what we plan on doing is this: add additional personnel and equipment so we can have 3 major drainage projects going at one time, the same that we're doing on Black Bayou. What we're asking to do is to add 2 more long reach trackhoes and 2 more large off-road dump trucks. And we're looking at having 3 projects going all the time, perpetually, in Ascension Parish. The next 2 the projects that we're trying to get permits on right now is the Marty Burat Ditch and part of Henderson Bayou, and also Bayou North Seas. That's what we're working on delineation for. And we should be getting, if you allow us to do this, we should be getting our permits and the equipment in about the same time, about 60 days hopefully from now. And at that point in time, we're able to get started on both those projects. Now, once we finish Black Bayou, then that piece of equipment is going to another major drainage or major lateral in the parish. And it's going to be a continuous process for at least for the next few years of completely digging out all our major canals and all our major laterals with this equipment. So you got a pretty good influx of equipment costs this year and personnel this year. And your personnel costs are going to remain with you next year, but the machinery costs will be going down. Now that even may change, the machinery costs, because we're negotiating now on a lease option, a pure lease of equipment. So somebody else maintains the equipment, and we just pay a lease value, and all repairs and replacement of the equipment is paid through the lease. But we're still negotiating that. I'd rather, if anything, it's going to be a lower price, because if it's not lower, a lot lower, we're going to go with just a purchase option and move on. We've looked at subbing the work out, and we're looking at different methods of getting the work done, and we feel that this is the most advantage to the parish. And again, it's a perpetual rotation of heavy equipment and major projects year-round, at least for the next 5 years or more. So that is the main part of the budget. Just a recap on the bottom line. Also, the regular drainage revenue is predicted to be combined $11,925,000. So you're still under your predicted revenue, even with the increase. And the increase in equipment, increase in personnel. The total budget, you're coming out with an increase. Your fund balances, you're increasing your fund balance. You're going down in your regular drainage fund balance, but you're increasing your major drainage fund balance at the end of the year. So we feel comfortable with this projection. We feel comfortable with the new budget, and we feel that we can get a lot of work done. In addition to the equipment and long reach, we are looking at getting some other pieces of equipment which causes to help us solve some problems around here that have been causing us problems for a long time. You're looking at off-road dump vehicles and so forth. We're looking at another power pack for, if we can get by without a power pack for the new shredder I think we can add another pump to it, a different pump, and get it more efficient. But we're looking at some crawfish-style boats for the spray rigs, marsh buggies for the spray rigs, and gator spray rigs. We get different off-road type of equipment that we can get in, rain or shine, down these small ditches and spray and keep them up. We want to be able to, once we dig it, that we can keep it up easily and not have a problem with right-of-way, anything else. We go down the center of the ditches and maintain it. That's the additional equipment that's included in that $1.2 million budget item. So again, this is just before you, for your review and start. We like to meet with the executive committee and go through the final figures once I get it back from finance and from my auditor. But again, review. If you have questions, get with me on it. And this is just the process. But we're going to have to do this probably at the next Drainage Board meeting, resolve the issue of how much the budget amendment is going to be, and make that request to the full council. Okay.
Discussion, Mr. McConnell.
I have a question, Bill, on this equipment that's listed here. If we could go into that,
yes,
that
sir.
one page where we talk about the new purchase, and then there we got the crawfish-style boat with spray rig, the marsh buggy with spray rig, the gator spray rig, crew 1, crew 2, all that. Haven't we been talking to a private enterprise? Does this go in conjunction with them? I thought we had been talking to a private enterprise who would be handling all of this stuff for us, and we wouldn't have the equipment costs, we wouldn't have the personnel costs, we wouldn't have all of that, and they were just going to take care of all this.
They were going to take care of isolated spots for I think it's 150,000 or maybe even more.
Well, yeah.
If you notice, we looked at all the numbers.
We were talking about isolated spots because we were giving them, we were trying them out. We were testing them to see how well that worked and how economical it was for us. And and I know we're still discussing this. And Mr. Chairman, if I could, we may want to have a special Drainage Board meeting just to discuss budget. I don't know. That's going to be up to you and Executive Committee. I know y'all are working on it, but.
And I can answer your question specifically on that issue. We looked at all the, if in fact we hired another firm to do everything that we're going to be doing with these equipment, especially the spraying and the getting into the small ditches and things like this, it would be several $1 million a year. And we looked at that already, several million. And like this, we have full control over it, and we can react, send them to wherever the hot spots are. If we have, a notice of something going wrong in certain parts of the parish, we can react. And again, this is in the past we were using our.
And I understand that, and I didn't see the cost comparison, so I don't know. But I've never heard of emergency spraying before. You know, where you have to you have an emergency and you have to go to a hot spot and spray it.
Well, what we do is,
as opposed to going out and actually handling water problems.
No, in fact, the spraying, what we have to do with some of this equipment, actually get in there and cut it and then spray it afterward. We can do both with some of the small equipment. And what we haven't been having to utilize in the past is a labor crew, with the trustees and people like this to get in these small areas. That is what we want to eliminate here, and have a mechanized way of getting in there and both cutting the weeds and also going back and spraying the weeds and keeping them down through a regular rotation. That, if you think about it, that's some of the areas we've been having a lot of complaints in the past, is that these small ditches between subdivisions that's really out of sight. People say we haven't cut it or sprayed them in 2 years and stuff like this. This is what we want to get this piece of equipment on a regular schedule, so we solve that problem.
Okay. Well, I'd just be eager to see the cost comparisons for all of that, just see how we come out. Because it seems to me if we're contracting with private enterprise and they can do it at a better price, then we're not only saving the people money, but we're also helping a business in our community.
The bad part of that is that right now I couldn't tell you, and we couldn't give it out to bid. The only thing a company could say is, I'll give you a rough figure. I'll charge you so many dollars a foot. Because right now we don't have no idea how many ditches we have, how many miles of road work. And that's one thing I want to mention. In this equipment list, there's also $25,000 budget It's $25,000 to get a monitoring system to go on, GPS system to go on every piece of equipment we have, most of our major pieces of equipment, both the cutters, the sprayers, and the tractors. So we're going to be placing this on the equipment so we know where they're at all times. Now, after this year, we could give you some, or at least half the year, we could give you some bigger figures because we could know exactly how many miles of certain type of maintenance that we need to look at. But for the time being, we have no way of bidding this out to a contractor.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that our people were going to be ready, on hand, in the event of an emergency, or in the event that we need some assistance in dredging, or in building levees, or dikes, or sandbagging, whatever, in the event of a water emergency.
And I would go back to the old axiom that was told to me many years ago. If it's something that you have to do time after time after time, it's best to hire your people, train them, and do it in-house. If it's a matter of certain things that's done once in a while, you know, like major project, you contract that out. But if something like this is year-round, this is our duty. This is part of our main job. So this is something that we need to get the equipment, train the personnel, and do it ourselves.
I look forward to meeting on this more and
Yes,
learning
sir.
some more. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. McCall. Mr. Hillens back.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bill, on the additional 17 personnel, how many of these are administrative? How many of these are actually operators?
Almost all of us, in fact, I think, I have to look at my list, just about all are operating personnel and laborers and spray crew members to operate this new equipment.
Well, where do the HR people and all those folks start figuring in? Because are those figures not in there?
We didn't figure because this came up late this afternoon. The idea
Those numbers are not in the budget then?
it's not in the budget, but you're looking at maximum two people.
The next thing too is I know by the contract you do the hiring and you set the salaries for all the personnel, right?
No, sir.
I thought that was the agreement, that you do the hiring, you set the salary.
No, sir. The salary is set by a personnel pay schedule, but right now we're accepting the same one that the parish has.
Well, that's my question. Are we going to be comparable to DPW scale so that we don't, because if we got people working for drainage making a lot more than people working for DPW, we're going to have a problem there.
No, sir.
So my question is, are the scales going to be comparable?
My suggestion to the course, the Drainage Board has the right to amend anything and accept your own salary schedule. But I do not recommend changing anything as per the personnel manual or the salary schedule. If it is changed, it needs to be jointly changed by both the Drainage Board and the council at the same time. Because if it's good for one, it's good for the other. If it needs to be changed, all of it needs to be changed. So at no time will there be a unilateral change in our policy manual or the pay scale, because that would upset the
okay, so on top
plan.
of back to the 17 personnel, then on top of the 17 operators, maximum we'll have 2 administrative types, like a clerk and a receptionist or whatever, record keeper.
Not new personnel. Now, if we do take over HR, my recommendation, if that's the decision of the Drainage Commission and the council to do that, well, then you have a reduction of 4% to 3%, which will give you another additional over $100,000 of additional revenue to put into the salary schedule to pay for that. I do not recommend keeping it at 4% and letting that function go.
Okay, thank you.
So, Bill, when you get all your numbers and you need to get an executive committee meeting, just let me know.
Yes, sir. And I should have these numbers reviewed and verified in the next day or two.
Okay. Mr. Jackson.
Bill, how many operators and spray people we have now?
I have to go back. I have the schedule. In fact, what I'll do is send each one of you the new makeup of our personnel crews, the actual names, who's the supervisor, who's working what piece of equipment. We have determined what those positions would be and who would be doing what. And what I do is send you this spreadsheet showing you that so you can see for yourself. But each crew, we have the 5 zones, if you remember.
Right.
And in each zone, we would have at least 2 boom mowers. And that's all we're using now is boom mowers because we don't need the slope. And we have a major piece of equipment with dump trucks and a support crew for the major piece of equipment.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't know the approximate amount of operators and all we have now?
Well, you say 5 to 10, 15, probably about 10 heavy equipment operators of the heavy type, bulldozers and tracos. And then you're looking at probably about another 10 or 12 of the lighter, at least 10 or 12 tractor operators.
We got less than 30 or 30
Operators, I would say.
operators, and
I'd say about 30 maybe,
Okay,
of
so
all
we-
the different types. The
we're gonna
rest
add
is
to it
support
by
crew.
about 50%.
We're adding 17 more operators
Okay,
to the mix.
good.
Thank you, Bill. Any more discussion on
One, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dempsey?
Yeah,
Lambert?
Mr. Roof, looks like June we'll be breaking ground on Marty Burat,
Well, again,
Innocent Bayou, Bayou Northeast. What,
that depends on two things. Number one, the action of the council and drainage commission on accepting the budget so we can order the equipment. The number two thing is the permitting process. I feel sure that we can have the permits in place in 60 days, and if we have fast action on this budget amendment, that we can get the equipment in 60 days, 60 or 90 days. So I'm looking at about 90 days to get the things rolling in those two areas.
and personnel, you think you can have the personnel in?
We have our personnel for those pieces of equipment. And when I say adding personnel, we may not add a brand-new person off the street to handle one of these equipment, but they'll come from another piece of equipment to a bigger piece of equipment. The lesser piece of equipment will move a person up from the survey crew or from the labor crew to that piece. It rotates down, so basically what you're looking at possibly is just hiring your bottom level. But those other people are getting pay raises, so it all comes out in the mix. It all evens out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just one last question.
Mr. Helensbeck?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bill, this was in our notes, in our packet.
Yes, sir. That's the shop.
It says new shop. Is this
No, sir, that's our-
alignment of the existing shop, or is this a new shop?
That's our new existing shop. That's the one that we
existing
just
shop.
constructed several. We have an old shop that we refer to, the old storage shop. And that's the new one that was completed about 3 years ago.
Okay, so it's just a realignment of...
Realignment of
Okay, how it's going to be utilized.
utilized, and that's not set in stone. If everybody's going to work together in the shop, and if they need space and we don't need it at the time, well, they use it. We work together on it.
Yeah, well, it had a date of 1/10/07, and it said new shop. I said, well, I wondered if we were building a new shop back there.
No,
Thank you.
that's our newest old shop.
Newest old shop. Okay, thanks for clarification.
Okay, Bill, we'll go ahead and move on to the second part of B, task order contracts approval.
Yes, sir. This item here is from contract, Postwake Netterville, CPAs. We have a proposal here for a task order contract for professional services. It has been approved by or reviewed by Mr. O'Neill, and has no problem with it. And we are making the proposal tonight to accept this contract, the task order contract. They're not paid anything unless we request it. But I would suggest hiring this professional firm so they can look at the drainage board issues.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Shake Snyder, second by Mr. Adrian Thompson. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Mr. Hillensback.
This will be the month-to-month review bill.
It could be, for the most part right now, we're going to bring them in to just to say, okay, this is what's happening. Look at the thing immediately we have to do is look at the separation of equipment and look at the way it was allocated out and see if everything's correct.
Will Falk and Winkler still do the audit at the year end? Is that the case?
That'll be the determination of the Drainage Commission as a whole, how much you want Postwake Netterville to do. The only thing this does is give them a task order contract for 1 year like we do all our consultants. The independent task, how much you're going to give them, is based on the determination of the commission as a whole.
I make a substitute motion that we give them the month-to-month work on a 1-year task order, but we continue to use Falk and Winkler as we have in the past for the audit at the year end. Because they've done an excellent job for the parish over the years.
I'll second that for discussion.
I got a substitute motion by Mr. Hillensback to use Falk for day-to-day,
No, Falk and Winkler for the year-end audit, but we use Postwake and Netterville for the
month-to-month.
on 1-year
Second,
task.
second by Mr. McConnell. Discussion, Mr. McConnell.
Just to point out, Mr. Chairman, thank you, that this drainage board, we've already hired Falk and Winkler to do the audit for 2006, and that is underway. So I'm assuming everything Mr. Hillensbeck is
This will just
discussing
keep it in place
is
like
from,
it is.
from this point forward. But
Right.
Falk and Winkler is already doing our audit. They're already working on the only thing that we can audit right now. There's nothing else to audit for 2007. So, thank you.
Mr. Barger.
Right now, I think that's just a little premature. We generally do that when it's time to do an audit. I can't see hiring a firm a whole year away, and it's not even time to do the work. Postwet and Netterville may be outstanding. We want to hire them in a year, at the end of this year. Let's just hold off. And Falk and Winkler is definitely an excellent firm, but I just think it's a little premature to do an 07 audit in January. Let's hire them when it's time to hire them.
More discussion, Mr. McConnell.
Well, just to respond, and I don't want to make this a debate with Mr. Beauregard, but if you hire Postlethwaite and Netterville to do your day-to-day, your month-to-month consulting for you, I don't know that you can then turn around and hire them as your auditor. The auditor is someone who they can't be involved in your day-to-day. This has to be someone who keeps themselves at a distance from you. So if Postlethwaite and Netterville is going to be your consultant, I don't know if we can or would want to hire them. And this may be a debate for a later time, but just to respond to a comment of Mr. Beauregard's.
Mr. Valentine.
Well, I just want to caution everybody. You got rules that govern this. If everybody knows, Falk and Winkler, they also give us advice on a daily basis, administration, and they also audit our books. So I've always been a little nervous about that situation. But we should just let's go ahead and hire Postlethwaite and Netterville, just like Mr. Rue is suggesting. When it's time to get an auditor, we'll have to either sever this contract, hire them as auditors, or make sure that it is legal that we can do that. That's kind of what Mr. McConnell is saying. Let's be cautious about doing this.
So I withdraw my second now that we've had the discussion. Thank you.
Okay, I got a withdrawn, so substitute motion fails. Anybody else want a second?
No, it fails. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So any more discussion on the original motion?
And actually, just for clarification, Mr. Chairman, we weren't hiring. Excuse me, I think I had the floor. Do I have the floor? We weren't hiring it. All we were doing was extending what was in place.
Exactly.
Falk and Winkler. Okay, now Mr. Valentine might have a problem with Falk and Winkler, but I don't. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any objection? So moved.
Mr. Chairman, I want to go back, skip one, which is B.I. or B1 under number 5. The budget fund itself, and this is something for your review and consideration when we come back at a later date with the budget amendment. It's been proposed for several years now, both by myself and Ms. Gwen LeBlanc, and also when Mr. Smith was CAO back several years ago, that we really need for clarity and for efficiency, we need to combine the number 404 fund and 05 fund into one general drainage fund, with both revenues going into that general fund, and then you allocate money out of it, just one fund, and then you distinguish between your major drainage with your Fund 35, which is your major construction fund. Your major construction fund would be your 05 major works, and then you allocate money to it as needed and as recommended by the commission. So for your consideration, we're going to come back, and I'm going to ask you when we come back for the final budget amendment that we reduce the two funds into one general fund. It makes much more sense. It'll be a lot easier to do and a lot easier to account for. So consider that, and you may want to talk to Ms. LeBlanc and some other people. This is something we've been trying to do for a number of years.
Okay, Bill, you could also bring that up on the executive committee meeting.
Right.
When you call that meeting.
But it's just for your consideration and thought.
Thank you. We'll move on to C then, procedures for personnel changeover.
And we did talk about this or touch on it a few minutes ago. And basically, I want everybody to understand that it's not a real hard process when we get to actual changeover of personnel. Basically, what we're going to do is after both the council and the drainage commission to vote to accept the governmental agreement, then we're going to sit down with all the employees, and they're basically going to have two pieces of paper in front of them. One is a change of status with the parish, and the other piece of paper is a hiring of that person with the drainage system, or drainage commission. They do both at one time. It's an automatic process. It's more paperwork than anything else. However, if a person with as works for the Drainage Board right now. And if that person wants to stay with the parish, he's perfectly welcome to stay if the administration says there's a position for him. Now, the likelihood is there will not be a position for him in parish government because all of his duties may be eliminated. So, in essence, he may be, the only choice is to go to drainage. But he is not forced to. We have a list of employees that is being paid for right now out of drainage for the most part, and we're just asking these people to transfer over. But there's no way they're forced or anything to do so. But it will be the determination of the administration if they have a position for that person after the total split. So that's just basically how that process works. And so far, we've talked to our personnel. We don't see a problem. And everybody I talk to is ready for it to go and ready for it to happen. So, but again, that's for your information. The same thing for procedure for assets changeover. That's the only problem with some of this is when we get into the actual items that has a title to it, and all titles in the name, even though it's bought by the Drainage Board, is under the title of the parish, and that has to be, only time you can change title or get anything like this done is through an ordinance. So that's a pretty good process there. So we have everything ironed out for what goes where, but it may take several weeks to a month or two to actually get everything done because of the ordinance process. So that's how that's going to work. Definition of terms relating to Drainage District number 1. Well, by law, you're known as Board of Commissioners. When you refer to yourself as if you're working on a drainage item, you're working as a commissioner of the Drainage District. So we're going to start referring, at least all my personnel can start referring to you because we do work for the Drainage District as commissioners of the Drainage District. And we're going to have nameplates and everything else changed over to reflect that. So you are commissioners of the Drainage District. That's by law. The actual working group that works for you will be known as EA, or East Ascension Drainage Works. The difference is you got the Department of Public Works and you got the EA Drainage Works. So we will be known, all of our letterheads and all of our departments will be termed such, EA Drainage Works. So you'll be seeing that from here on. We also we're in the process of getting the letterhead and the decal set up. We went back and researched the old, which was many, many years ago, East Ascension Drainage District decal. On it was just one crane, drag line. So we're redoing that decal to reflect a little bit more of what we do, which is the pumping station and some heavy equipment and stuff like this. So we're going to come back to you with several examples of a decal. All of our trucks, all of our equipment will be changing over to this decal once you accept the design of that. I need tonight, I'm asking for authorization to make 2 appointments. As per the law, you need to distinguish two things, which is a secretary-treasurer and also a chief engineer for the district. Now, we recommend that the treasurer remain with the parish as of right now if we go with the intergovernmental agreement, and because they would be doing our financial accounting. But the secretary, which is a keeper of records, former keeper of records for the drainage district, I'm recommending Ms. Laverne Lear for official secretary to the district.
Got a motion by Mr. Shakespeare, second by Ms. Fontenot. Discussion? Any opposition? So move.
And in that position, again, she would be acting much like the parish secretary is, she'll be the official, she'll handle the official seal of the Drainage Commission, and she will be accountable to all record keeping and make sure that all legal part of the records for us, putting it into legal notices, putting it into the public journals, the minutes are completed on time, this type of stuff. She'll be responsible for that. Ms. Heather Clifton will remain as recording secretary, to the commission, and report to Ms. Lear. The other requirement by law is you must distinguish a drainage engineer, chief drainage engineer for the district, and I recommend C.J. Golding for that position.
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Dempsey Lambert, second by Mr. Scheck-Snyder. Discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
And the purpose for this is, again, he'll have the seal of the parish as chief engineer seal. All requests coming through the commission for waivers or letters of no objection or whatever that has to go through the engineering department, he'll be required to stamp it with the official seal of the chief engineer and sign it. And again, we're just getting more, as per the law, what needs to be done and getting a little bit more formal on how we operate. Update of projects. I'm going to ask, I guess, CDM?
Yeah, Omar
Amber?
said.
You have somebody? We don't want to make a quick report on the project, a major project, which is Henderson Bayou project and Laurel Ridge project right now. And Mr. Amber with CDM will do that.
Well, on Henderson, we expect to give the board at the next board meeting a recommendation, a summary of recommendations and analysis at the next board meeting. Laurel Ridge, we're complete on the project. I believe we turned in our final deliverables. We've gotten our responses back from Bill's office and from URS. We're just, I guess, awaiting starting the next phase of the project. Nothing new to report there.
And on that, on the Laurel Ridge levee project, and the next item in this item is the hiring of SJB to assist CDM on the acquisition, right-of-way acquisition of property that's needed for the Laurel Ridge levee. And I'll make that request to the commission tonight. And this is just a task given to SJB to assist.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Thompson, second by Mr. Barger. Discussion? Mr. Savoy?
And Bill, is this for the portion of the Laurel Ridge levee? Exactly what portion of the projects that we've been talking about?
But this is the portion from the existing levee to Prince Road.
Okay.
And the reason for this is that one of the main things that we're going to do at the next phase is, number one, determine the best route for it. And then after we determine the best route, or maybe several alternates, that we need to start calling for public hearings for everybody that lives along in that area. And during these public hearings, I want a right-of-way personnel around to talk to the people, talk about right-of-way acquisition process. They're going to meet with us, CDM, and iron out all problems and complaints well before we actually get out there. And this is before we determine. We need to do this before we actually determine what is going to be the route. We need to meet with these people and say, this is our recommended route. We may have problems acquisition-wise with that route. We may have to make some minor changes. So again, this is a big process, and we really need to get somebody involved from the get-go on the acquisition phase. So that's the reason for asking them to task to bring him in, because we should be starting this process pretty soon.
All right. Second thing is, and it is for land acquisition.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just for land acquisition and right-of-way acquisition services.
Okay. That's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hillingsback.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, my memory serves me correct. We paid CDM $550,000 to study the best routes, but that was the portion of the levee from Prince Road all the way to Summerfield. So that's just a completely different project. Now, how much was the task order last meeting we approved? Was it $1.2 million or $1.8 million?
I forget, I'll be honest with you, Councilman.
Okay, and the reason I'm bringing that up, here we are, we're now going to build a section of levee from Gold Place Road, where the levee ends now, to Prince Road. But if you'll go back to the July meeting of last year, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer representative stated, Mr. Vashon Vicknair, we get absolutely no credit at all for any of our existing levees, because guess what? They're at least 2 feet below base flood elevation. Now, to me, as a body, I would think that it would make a lot more sense to improve the existing levees we have before we go out and start building new sections of levee.
I can answer that, sir. The first phase of the actual construction will be started on the old section of Laurel Ridge levee. That's
I know that's the Laurel Ridge levee. He's talking about all the levees, Bill. From pump stations forward, they're all substandard and below.
The only, well, maybe so, but the only thing that we're worried
maybe
about.
Maybe so too, it is. So, and I just don't understand, as a body, why are we going out and spending untold? We don't know yet what it's going to cost. I mean, and what's the benefits going to be of doing this section of levee? No one's ever said for spending $2 million or better, this is what the benefits are going to be.
That it was done through CDM. A full analysis is going on for the last number of months, and the determination by the commission was to go forward with the process of the project.
I know it
of
was,
Laurel Ridge
but to
Levee.
me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to go out and build a new section of levee when we've been told by the Corps of Engineers that the people of Ascension Parish, get absolutely no credit at all for the existing levees. He stood right there and told us all. But here we are, instead of improving the existing levees from the pump station forward, we're going to go out and we're going to start building a new section of levee.
That's not my...
I know it's not your call, it's this board's call.
Right,
The
commission has given me the task of moving forward with the process of the projects of the existing Laurel Ridge levee and also the levee from the existing to Prince Road, and that's the only thing I'm trying to do, Councilman.
And that's the motion on the floor right now by Mr. Thompson and second by Mr. Byergo to move forward with SJB. Any more discussion? Any objection?
I object.
One objection. Mr. Hillensbeck. So move.
And go back on the Henderson Bayou. While that's still ongoing, the first thing that we're asking CDM to do is give us a model so we can do a section design of Marty Burat Ditch and portions of Henderson Bayou so we can start working on that immediately while the commission determines what they want to do as far as the total project of Henderson Bayou Basin. But that's not going to hold us back from going through and improving the major laterals in that basin, because we're going to have to do it anyway. So at least we'll provide some benefit to the people before the actual overall project is completed.
Bill, any update on the existing gate of Henderson Bayou?
Well, it's in litigation. We had a meeting about a week ago. All concerned parties. I'm not privy to discuss it because it's in litigation, but it is coming to a head. It should be resolved.
I'd like to put it on the next Drainage Board agenda on the executive session.
And we can get Mr. Babins involved with it. And again, I think this can be resolved maybe by the next meeting, I hope. We may have a resolution.
Put it on the agenda, and that way we can discuss it in the executive session.
Mr. Chairman, before we move on, could I ask Mr. Almer a question? Or if he is prepared to explain what are the benefits of spending millions of dollars? I mean, all we're going to do is, eliminate some road flooding over there? Would you respond, please?
Mr. Almer, are you prepared for that question?
No, I'm not prepared.
Okay.
Millions of dollars. Thank you.
Mr. Byergo?
Yeah, Mr. Lambert, can we move on? Mr. Hillensbeck's complaining about an agenda item that he actually made the motion on. I don't understand why we rehashing and beating this to death. Let's move on, please.
I'm going to let Mr. Dempsey Lambert one question on the Henderson Bayou project.
I just want to get clear some clarification on this. You bringing a summary back next month, Armor, or I need to know if we're going to put a levee in or the gates. I want to know what's going on there.
Well, I mean, at the next meeting, what you will have is a summary of our analysis and our recommendations for your consideration. I mean, for you to decide on what the next steps would be. Before even we have that meeting, the week before, I'll be going over, the technical analysis and recommendations with, the commission's technical staff before we even come to you. So, if there is any interest by any members of the board, be happy to meet with you before the actual presentation at the next Drainage Board meeting.
That would be good.
Before we move on, I just want to make it clear I've had no opposition at all to Henderson Bayou, but somehow these two projects got lumped together. My question has been Laurel Ridge levee all along. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Bill, any more on them two? You're going to move on to 3.
Okay.
East Ascension drainage
And that's
projects.
and again, I'd like to keep it as brief as possible. I can just tell you some of the hot items going on right now that you may have a question about. I might beat you to it, maybe. One is Bayou Grand. We've finally ran a DOTI on it. That's something we have to do. We have negotiated with the utility company that has the wastewater system there. They are going to do the work. We're going to pay part of the cost. They're going to pay part of the cost. We're satisfied with the agreement. DOTI was completed today. A meeting will be tomorrow morning on exactly when they can mobilize and start the project. We're going to assist them in digging some of the road up so a new line can be placed. So this is ongoing, and if the weather remains dry, I think we can get this done in a short amount of time. Again, it depends on the weather. So this is moving forward as quickly as we can. Manchac Plantation, all the cul-de-sacs, we're doing a lot of work determining what was the root cause or the true cause of the problems. They first reported that we could do the lines going from the three cul-de-sacs back to the rear drain and benefit the people, and that solve the problem. That seems not to be the case now. After further examination, it shows that we have to do some major problem solving in the back outfall ditch, going out, collecting all these lines and going to the Manchac. So we finally determined what we think is the root cause. It took a lot of analysis, and we're going to be proceeding with part of that solution in the next day or so to dig out one of the ditches and enlarge it. At the same time, as seeing what it'll cost us to replace some of the major culverts that was placed in there several years ago by DPW. We have to replace some of those lines, and it shows that that's unfortunately, and we're going to take the blame for it. Some of the piping was put down wrong, and it should have been sized a little bit better. So we're going to have to fix that situation, and we acknowledge the fact that we were partly to blame for that. Providence Point, the contractor has a contract for Renaissance to come in and do the upgrades of the culverts and the other things that you approved us to do in that subdivision to help the people there. We're waiting for the final review by attorneys, and we should have it back and start work hopefully in the next 2 weeks in that project. So that's Providence Point. Hopefully this will solve some of the problems they're having. Stringer Bridge Road, we completed that project last week and some this week. That's the cross drain under the Stringer Bridge Road before we get to Stringer Bridge. Delineation of wetlands is moving forward. They have until April to finish, and hopefully they'll finish before that with the delineation, and then they can submit it for the permit. And that's for the Burat Ditch and also for Bayou North Cease. And that's why our plans is to get the equipment and have permits in place by the summer, midsummer, so we can start that project. And again, once we start, we should move pretty quickly. In the meantime, we're going to be working on right-of-way access and permission to get through the property between now and that time, in addition to the permitting process. So we're going to have people working on that too. We have talked to a retired USGS person about our gauging system. I may come to the commission and ask permission to hire this man on a temporary part-time basis to review all our gauging systems and make recommendations to upgrade them to a better system, maybe to the point of getting out of, we have a contract with USGS. It may come to the point where we have a better system that we can put in without contracting with them, but this is something we need to find out. We're not satisfied with the gauging system we have, and we pay a good bit of money every year to USGS, for the upkeep of them.
Bill, when you come with that, let us know how many other parishes are going outside of the USGS.
Okay.
Because I think they're the standard, but I'd like to know if there's other parishes that do not contract with them.
But we have problems and in fact, Bert Kleinpeter doing our evaluation of the pumping station is not satisfied with the information they receive. So again, we want to do something. We want to see if we can do it better. That's our main thing, and get more information in so we can get better decision making.
Bill, do we have something in place to continue receiving grants? I know the USGS gives grants for these stages and the elevations of the waters and everything, and on periodic basis. Do we have something in place to try to take advantage of some opportunities on a yearly basis?
I don't think we can get anything through USGS, because right now we actually pay them a good bit of money every year to contract this service from them. They require us to pay them for the upkeep. So I don't know of any. I think when we first got the system in, it was part of a grant with the condition that we continue paying them year after year for the service, upkeep service.
Yeah.
They're kind of like our alarm system, they give you a good cost.
Exactly.
But then it costs you in the long run.
There is a continuous opportunity to get new funding for extra gauges and things of that sort throughout the parish on an ongoing basis.
Well,
if you can just look into it.
We can evaluate the whole system. That's why I want this guy to come in and he's he worked for USGS on gauging system for a number of years, retired, and I think he can give us some good advice. But we want the best. We have to add more functions to our gauging system, discharge rates and such, to really analyze what we're at. And we want to add more sites for this. We need a number of sites added.
That's why I was concerned. We met with some people in Washington, and other people were doing that, and they were each year they were bringing on different sites, and they were monitoring that and had to pay it. And they said they had funding available on a yearly basis for a certain amount, and also if you had matching funds, they would do more. So I just wanted to make sure we didn't get left out of any programs like that.
We're going to do a complete evaluation before coming back to you. Have information for you.
Bill.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank you, first of all, for the update on the 3 projects in my district. I am a little curious. You said on the Bayou Grant a short amount of time. Can you give me a better...
I can email you tomorrow after meeting with the wastewater company. Because they're the ones actually going in to begin the project. And I can tell you right now that if it's dependent on us, because we're going to be digging some of the holes, we can mobilize within a day or two and start digging up the trenching where the pipe is going to go. Now, we got to make sure that the wastewater company is be able to follow up with trench boxes and personnel to start placing the pipe. So I can let you know a little bit more about it by tomorrow noon or tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, these people are kind of getting antsy. They've been very patient, and they appreciate all you're doing to resolve the problem. Thank you.
Of course, we're going with a major redesign. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Simon.
Yeah, Bill, going back to the 935 culverts that was put across, do you have any idea when the state plans on coming and finishing that section of overlay?
Usually that's done at the end of the fiscal year for the district. And what they do is, the last 2 times, they use excess money left over toward the end of the fiscal year to do projects like this with a simple overlay. That's funds from the district itself. And so I'm looking at maybe toward the summer possibility that the last section will be done. That's what we're pushing for.
Well, whenever you said we completed that job, did we go back and put asphalt on
No.
top? We're not going to put asphalt on top?
Well, we can probably go. It depends on what information we get from DOTD as when they're going to come through. We probably will put asphalt on it, though, because it's unsafe. If it's going to be a month or 2 before they're coming through there, well, yes, we are going to put asphalt. We put limestone right now to secure it. And once it packs down, we're going to allow it to pack down. And then we'll come back and place at least 6 inches or more of asphalt, full depth.
Yeah, because it makes for a very unsafe condition when we got to go over the weekend. And come Monday, they got some pretty good-sized holes.
Right.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
And the micro pumping station, of course, we're recommending that we do a full redesign of the pumping station. Right now, it looks like the architect would need about 3 months to complete the design of the safe house and the full enclosure of our pumping station, so we can operate through any kind of weather conditions and have it safe for our personnel to go throughout the whole event, so we don't have to hunker down doing part of it. Again, in about 3 months, we should have the design completed with the cost estimates from the architect, at which time I'll come back with those estimates and ask for a budget amendment, because we didn't estimate anything because we have no idea what it costs. We'll come back and recommend a budget amendment to handle that and proceed to the construction of that project. That's about all of some of the big items or hot items that was going on the last few months. And you can review your independent district work orders, and if you have any questions, call our department tomorrow. We'll be glad to answer it. If I'm able to answer it tonight, I'll be glad to.
Mr. Hillary.
Bill, can you give me an update on the Jefferson Highway project as far as St. Elizabeth's, their culverts and catch basins, when that third cross lateral is going to come under, or culvert's going to come under Jefferson Highway, when that's going to take place? Because I've got some people asking about that.
It should, well, One thing that St. Elizabeth contractors and DOT was waiting for is dry weather so they can jack and bore the covered crossing under Highway 73. However, we're going to go ahead and get the covers in and provide and complete our portion of the agreement, which is the covers on some of the crossings, some of the driveways.
Okay.
We're going to go ahead and complete that portion of it. And I talked to the gentleman today with the contractor today, and he assured me that he's going to do everything possible to get the jack and bore in place at the same time we're doing our work. So
Okay, and
if
as
we
that,
get some dry
as that
weather,
is done, then we're going to also widen that ditch that runs from 73 back to
the
Schneider Road
first
ditch?
crossing, Schneider ditch, behind the smokehouse. We're
just
going to
waiting
enlarge
on
that.
third culvert in there. Okay.
Exactly.
But that ought to be happening pretty quick then.
Pretty quick.
All right, good. Thank you.
One thing, Mr. Chairman.
Vincent Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Rue, the shredder, you going to make it back on Parker Bayou to finish up?
The
That
reason-
got wet back there, but
Right. The reason we moved it, like you said, it was too wet to move. We need to move it out of the bayou because you're getting too narrow right there, and move it onto the bank and do some more, the remainder of the chipping of the little popcorn trees. But it's too wet, like I said, so we moved it to Muddy Creek. We were able to operate there in any kind of condition, and when it dries up, we'll move it back. One of the things we're not that concerned about, and if we got time, we're going to move it back and get the remainder of that little bit done. That's going to be a portion of the dredging or digging project, middle of the summer. That's what we're getting a permit for. Part of that, and also going up the Mortar Burat ditch. All of them going to be inclusive in that project. So if, in fact, we're not able to get to it before then, all of that's going to be done, actually dug out during that project.
appreciate all the hard work.
Okay, Bill, we'll move on to the first two-thirds item.
Okay,
NRCS.
That's NRCS. And this, I think we got a handout. I'm going to give you a little chronological list of what's been going on with NRCS over the last several months. Going back, this all started in November of 15th of 2005 about a cost sharing in NRCS funds, and basically they said they were going to give it to a minority contractor and move it real quick. Well, they told us that it was going to cost us a certain amount of money. I think our share was $68,967. They tried that process and they couldn't get any qualified contractors to bid on it. So the next thing that they had to do was actually go for bids. And it cost us an additional, they went for the bids, and the low bid was about $360,000, which was about $90,000 over, and our increase is about $21,000. Now, you approved that at the last meeting, to cost share, increase our cost share by $21,000. Then what happened, they tried to go with the contract documents with that contractor, low bidder, and they could not make bond, which caused them to go. Yes, sir.
I don't think we have the right document in front of us.
We got
You got
item H, we need item G.
Yeah, go ahead and hand that one out.
I think this is item 8.
This row, we need
This is the
NRCS.
BKI one right here.
Yeah, this is KI.
Okay, we have some copies right here. But basically, it was a cost share of $21,000 increase, and you approved that last meeting.
Go ahead, Lisa.
And again, they went to the low bidder. Low bidder could not make bond, so that forced them to go to the next bidder, who was a higher bidder. So they just came back to us today and said that it's going to, because it is the higher bidder, it's going to cost us even more if we want them to do the project. And that increase is $17,500 more because of the fact going to the higher bidder. So it's your decision if you want to continue the project and pay the additional $17,500, or you want to pull the project.
So moved to pay the $17,500 and get this project underway.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Scheckstein, second by Mr. Hillenbeck to approve the increase of $17,500. Any discussion? Mr. Savoy?
And Bill, that is for all four.
That's for all four, and if you authorize the chairman to sign it immediately, as tomorrow morning, we can process this, and they assured us that they'll get the contract documents going and start the work as soon as possible, within the next few weeks.
And add that to my motion that the chairman be allowed to sign and proceed.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any opposition? So move. Move on to the BKI one now. Bill?
Okay, this next item is from Burt Klein Peter Incorporated Engineers. And I'll let Mr. Picard answer questions and explain it a little bit more if you wish. But basically, this has to do with the fact that part of their original contract, they were going to use a lot of the model, the core model and BCG model, which is based on a core model, to get a lot of their information for their model of the drainage basin through the center of the parish going to the McElroy pumping station. We had a lot of problems. They had a lot of problems with the model from the Corps. We met with the Corps. They did not admit that it's a faulty model, but they did not deny it either. If we want BKI to continue with this project and do their own independent model, it's going to take more work, and it would be a lump sum of $57,699.74 increase in their contract. And again, if I ask Mr. Picard to answer any specific questions with that project and the model.
Any questions for Mr. Picard?
Yeah, well, not about Mr. Picard. Mr. Rue, what was the original contract amount?
86,000. 81.
Mr. Rue?
81,000? I thought it was 86. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it, 81,000 and change.
81,000 plus an additional, what is it,
57,699.74.
Thank you.
Mr. Hillingsbeck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Where does the Corps get their numbers from? Do they get their numbers from USGS?
They got their data from USGS also. What they had, though, was they did not have any good calibrated storms during the time where the Corps put together their model. So they didn't calibrate it off of rainfall and gauge data like we're doing. What they did was they took the old firm maps and used that as a basis to generate their water surface elevations, and they were using it to match the old D-firms. In this process that has been updated, they took the BCG model, converted it to unsteady flow, and calibrated against that since there was not a good rain event. Since then, we've got the Rita event, which is a good classic 10-year storm. We've gone back at the same meeting. We met with USGS. They've reviewed their data. They feel that the data is consistent with what was done. The only question that they've got right now and they're trying to resolve for us is whether it's in the old 1927 datum, which is NGVD, or the 88 datum, which is NAVD. And the only difference between those two datums is 23/100ths of a foot. Yeah. We're not looking at 23/100ths. We're looking at feet.
Right.
So, I mean, for all practical purposes, regardless of which datum it's in, you know, the data is predominantly good. Yeah. We are going to, when we do get the answer from USGS, we will use the accurate datum to give you the most accurate information.
That's Mr. Arsenault, right? You're dealing with USGS,
yes.
Mr. Arsenault?
Yes,
yeah.
They're coordinating with that, with us.
You know, I missed the meeting, I believe, in December when you gave a report and you said you weren't ready. Was it December because you weren't ready to report? You had conflicting data and
correct. That was, I don't remember if it was December, but yes,
I caught a little bit of it on the TV on a rerun. But you know, when this contract started, it was all about pump capacity.
Correct.
Of the Marvinboro pump station.
We do intend to complete that portion of it.
And I've really heard nothing about pump capacity all along. It's
all of this has been the startup and setup in getting the model calibrated so that when we actually do the improvements of either seeing how far we can dredge without increasing the pump station, or how much we do need to increase the pump station if we do all the dredging, we need a model that we all can trust. And Mr. Godin has got some issues with the D firms. He feels they're recording low. us going through the model and reviewing that data, we're basically finding, yes, they are recording levels low. If we go in and gauge a pump capacity on a model that's got low elevations to start with, you'll have flooding based upon anticipation of being able to dredge more than we can, or we'll have flooding because when we dredge everything, we won't have enough pump capacity. So it's very crucial that we do get the model calibrated. Just so you know that we have gone with some discussions with URS and Mr. Godin. We have moved forward with some of this new data before getting this, and we are seeing some significant results in changing. We're hoping to complete this by the end of this February and have it all calibrated, at which point we can then start what the project was truly about, was to look at the actual pump station capacity.
That's right. Well, the additional contract cost that you're asking for tonight is an additional $57,000.
Correct.
So to bring it up to a total of $138,000. I just, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to vote for this. When we approved these proposals, we turned down the proposal from BCG to do this study for $55,000. So it just seems like there's no end in sight. So no, I'm not in favor.
Well, BCG would have run into the exact same problem I ran into, that the model, does not perform like it was originally stated to perform.
Right.
And I think they would be in the same situation I'm at right now.
Mr. Schexner.
Yes, and Bill, do you mind if I ask CJ about? Sure. The reason we're in this situation right now is when they begin to run the models, what the models predicted and what we actually received on our measurements of actual storms is, from what I understand, was a very big difference. Am I right?
Yes, by a number of feet.
Okay, so what the models that was intended to go off of by the Corps and USGS, and by what happened, what we saw as a true fact of the amount of rainfall, the amount of water, and the measurements that we went out physically and did were vastly different. Therefore, we know the model is not right.
Yes, it doesn't appear
it's not
to be
accurate.
Right. The old DPW department took some measurements, especially along Bayou Narcisse, and on one particular storm, we were several feet above what the Corps was predicting 100-year level.
Right.
So that was an indication that something was wrong right there.
So, in other words, if we can't predict within several feet of what's going to happen, that model is useless, basically.
Yeah,
okay. Well, I'd like to make sure that if we do something for the people, that it's going to be accurate, and we do whatever it takes to make sure it's accurate. If we've proven it's not accurate, then we need to fix it. So, I'd be in favor of doing this.
Mr. Thompson.
I'd like to make a motion.
And I'll make a motion to do that. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Thompson.
I'll second Mr. Thompson's motion.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that we send this to URS and let them come back with a report that give us some direction.
Councilman, we've already sent it through URS, and they agree with our recommendation to allow BKI to go forward with this.
I withdraw that motion.
Okay. More discussion?
And I forward my motion, since I did talk to Mr. Israel, and they concurred with results that Mr. Picard had gotten, and so therefore I recommend that we move forward with the addition of this study.
Right, just so everyone knows, we have coordinated with URS on this. They've attended the meetings with the Corps with us, and prior to us even submitting the proposal to the Gravity Drainage District, we submitted it to URS for review, just to make sure that they were found it acceptable prior to even presenting it to the Drainage District.
Okay, I got a motion by Mr. Schexner, a second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion? Mr. Hillensbeck?
Yeah, just for the fees we pay in URS, they will be most agreeable to what the majority of this board wants to do. So,
Mr. Valentine.
Mr. Chairman, I would urge you to keep Mr. Hillensbeck's comments I mean, I understand he's a councilman, he's on the commission, and he can make all the comments he wants, but this combative spirit we're seeing here is really starting to drag this meeting out. So I appreciate we keep the personal comments along.
Thank you.
Personal. Go back and check
Got
the
a
numbers.
motion by Mr. Scheckstall, second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert. Any objections? No objections? So moved.
Thank you.
We'll move on to number 6, GSA Inc. Payment authorization for services, drainage, analysis of Bird Island Ditch.
Yes, sir. We talked about this at a prior meeting, but we have the exact cost in review by URS, and both recommends that we pay an additional fee of $35,257 to GSA to do some drainage analysis on Bird Island Ditch that we need, one, for Bird Island Ditch, but also to establish the design of the 2 bridges on Roddy Road. And we make the recommendation to accept this $35,000 contract.
Barger.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Root, this is bridges for a road widening project. Why is it in drainage? Shouldn't we bring this to Road and Bridge?
Yes, sir,
That's why we're doing the study, is because of the bridges.
We're doing it for the bridges, but it's a drainage issue in that area that we need to model. They're going to model this drainage system of the Bird Island Ditch. Now, we'll be able to use that same model to look at improvements or adjustments to the Bird Island Ditch as part of drainage projects. But it's actually a drainage issue that relates to the building of the bridge. The drainage canals go under the bridge. And we just seem that it seems to be more appropriate for the Drainage Commission, because the Drainage Commission will own the model once it's complete, and we can utilize it for drainage improvements. So that's the recommendation, but it's up to the commission if which way you want to go with it.
I'll offer that motion.
Barger, you still got the floor.
Yeah. In the study, what are the what are we asking for? What are we going to get in our study? Exactly.
It's actually a drainage analysis of that whole area, going to the bridges and going from the bridges to Black Bayou. And again, it's a part of a model that we can plug numbers in, different scenarios, different conditions in, and seeing what the results are. And again, we'll use it primarily to design the bridges, but then we can use it also for a upgrade of those.
So we haven't started designing bridges yet from 6-8 months ago.
You can't do it without this analysis.
Why didn't we know this 8 months ago?
We talked about it, I think, at the last meeting, that there will be a need to do an analysis of the Bird Island Ditch before you do the design.
So will this be finished and bridges be designed by summertime when school's out and we can build bridges?
I cannot answer that without consulting with GSA to see their timeline on this.
GSA is here. Y'all mind if we consult?
Come up, Mr. Glenn.
Because we cannot wait till these bridges. I mean, we can't wait another year for these bridges to be built, but we also can't build them during school.
That's correct. The proposal that you have in front of you, as Bill has explained to you, is really for the 0.8 of a mile channel that goes from this bridge location at Bird Island down to Black Bayou. And one of the considerations that we've had, the discussions that we've had, is originally the project was proposed as a bridge replacement project. In the initial hydraulic models that we ran on those 2 bridges, we cannot substantiate or justify the bridge replacements that we originally proposed to you. And in additional investigation in that channel, we walked that channel from these locations down to Black Bayou. And there are a number of locations where there are channel restrictions and various other obstructions that we feel are worthy of additional modeling to identify potential improvements that the parish can make in the outfall channels, as well as to benefit the hydraulics that we are designing these bridges by. One of the considerations that we have, we will put before you, is whether to replace the existing bridges with box culverts, which would have some cost benefit to the parish, or whether to actually replace those 2 bridges with bridges. So that's the cost proposal in front of you. To answer your question about design, yes, we can complete the design and have these projects ready to bid by the summer. A lot of the work has been done up to this point in time on the design. We actually have a hydraulic model that we need to submit to the parish along with our preliminary plans for their approval in order to proceed to finalizing plans.
Yeah, ready to bid or ready to build by the summer?
They'll be ready to bid by the end of late spring, early summer, and actually get them under construction by the summer of this year.
You promise? Please. You promise in a public meeting?
I promise.
Mr. Shakespeare.
Well, my question, Glenn, if you could stay up there a second.
Sure.
These models, I know there was a question of the water coming through, and in building the bridges, it's preliminary to establishing a road, and that road would probably be raised. And the concern of the citizens around there is if you raise the road, will that allow enough water to pass under? Is that what this model will take care of? And after this model is done, you will know how to design the bridge without the water rising above it?
Well,
beyond?
It will address all of that. You will have all of those answers, the information to substantiate our design and what those projected water surface elevations will be. One of the things that we found, Kent, in our initial work is that you know, those of you who are familiar with those locations, I know a number of you are, the elevation of the road actually goes down to the bridge, and then there's a problem with that entire area, low area, flooding during certain rainfall events. One of the problems that we see is primarily the outfall channel is creating that problem for us, and that's what we want to try to address, is how do we eliminate that problem, and what elevations do we need to design these bridges and the future roadway for to prevent that from happening in the future.
Yeah, because if we're not absolutely sure about this, I would like to see a design where the road dips to allow for overflow if you know, if we cannot build in enough flow under there for these peak things, because these large storms, it spreads out pretty far, almost all the way to the school.
One thing also that this will have, I know you talked about, Bill presented to you a number of ongoing projects, acquisition of equipment, and so forth. What this will also do, in addition to establishing the design criteria for the bridges and the drainage structures at those locations, but it'll also identify what improvements Bill and the drainage works, you know, what they can do to improve those channels. And it's another project that he can add to his list for those projects, for permitting and so forth.
Okay. Thanks.
Mr. Barger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we got a promise from Mr. Cheyenne, I'll go ahead and offer a motion to approve this study.
I'll second.
So we can get these bridges moving.
Got a motion by Mr. Barger, second by Mr. Shakespeare.
Just one question.
Discussion.
What's going to happen if the promise is not kept?
No payment.
Mr. Cyborg.
Bill, is the $35,000 additional money, is that $12,500 I'm seeing coming from Earls and Associated? Is that part of that $35,000, or is that in addition?
The survey is $14,375, what I'm seeing, and that's part of the total $35,000. That's all inclusive. Surveying is inclusive in that. And this is a lump sum fee where they're responsible for everything.
Okay.
So we got a motion and a second. Any objections? So moved. Move on to number 7, Riparian Inc. Task order for Riparian Inc. not to exceed $3,500 for permitting bluff levee coverts as per 1995 agreement.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Motion by Mr. Barger, second by Mr. Adrian Thompson. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. Move on to number 8, hazard mitigation update. I got Ms. Carla Cormier going to come up and give us an update on where we at with the buyouts.
Hi guys and ladies. I just wanted to let you know real quick, the applications have been in for a while. The state has finished their review. They've asked for some more information. The federal government is doing their review. So hopefully by next month I'll actually be able to come up and say, this is where we are, this is how much has been approved. But at this time, they haven't been approved yet. They're still under review. So as soon as I find out more information, I'll let you know. But I know it's been a while, so I wanted to come and let you know where we are.
Mr. Thompson.
Carla,
Had you spoke with Mr. Rollins yet at Purpose Youth Funeral?
Okay, we can talk about specific individuals and homeowners after the meeting. I'll stick around.
Please let all the homeowners updated
I sure will.
so everybody can
Sure.
get on the same page. Any more
Thanks.
discussion or questions from Mr. Carl? Appreciate it.
Sure.
Let's go. We'll move on to number 9, refunding of existing bond issue. Mr. Jim Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Do you all have this in your packet?
Yeah.
This is a bond issue. You've got one bond issue that matures in 08, one in 011, and one in 15, I believe. This is the middle of the 3 bond issues. This is something that Malcolm and I have been watching for probably almost a year. It moves in and out of making sense. The last numbers we ran, if you'll turn over to the page numbered page 2, let's see if I can get this bear with me. Well, I can't get it all on there. But if you look at page 2, in the middle section there, it says net present value benefit. Right now, the savings on this is about $68,000 in today's dollars. That's all in, inclusive of all the cost, all the fees, everything. Right below that, you'll see a number 1.882%. What that basically means is that after you pay for everything, it's about like wiping out about 2% of the bond issue and just taking an eraser and making about 2% of your loan go away, which, like I said, today is worth about $68,000. If you look up in the far right-hand column, top right-hand column, you'll see the savings per year in gross dollars, 10,000, 10,000, 12,000, 13,000, and 23,000. In gross dollars, it's $71,000, but they make us calculate it in net present value terms. They make us discount it back into what it's worth today instead of what it's worth over the next 5 years. So over the next 5 years in cash, it's worth about $71,000. Over in today's dollars, it's worth about $68,000. Last year, this kind of went back and forth between working and not working, depending on where rates were. And as you all know, it takes us about 2 months to get the resolutions from y'all, go to the bond commission, tell them what we're doing, come back to y'all, get a final approval. What we're suggesting is no action tonight, but what we would suggest is we come back to you maybe at the next meeting, introduce a resolution, go to the bond commission, get it approved, and then just watch it. It doesn't cost you all anything as far as fees to do any of that. And then and again, all of these savings are net of fees, but what our recommendation is, this is a bond issue that could have been refunded probably 2 or 3 different times last year. You probably could have saved anywhere, depending on where the markets were, between $50,000 and $150,000 if we had hit it right on the day. The problem is there's about a 2-month lag from the time y'all tell us to go to the time we can actually get all the approvals in place. Since it doesn't cost y'all anything to get all the approvals in place for us to do all the paperwork, what we would recommend, if you want to, is to come back at the next meeting with a resolution telling us to go to the bond commission, us go to the bond commission, get their approval, and then just watch it and come back to y'all and say, you know, we're at $100,000 now, which is 2.5%. You know, do y'all want to do that, or do you want to wait? You want to go? And you tell us. But that's just our recommendation. Not looking for any forward action tonight. Just wanted to discuss it, run it by y'all, see if you thought you wanted us to come back maybe in the next meeting and try to do this.
Mr. Shakespeare.
I appreciate you doing some investigation, Mr. Ryan, and as our financial advisor, and I would suggest that we do as suggested, put it on the agenda for next month, and bring us a proposal that we can take a look at so that we can take advantage of some market changes and try to save the parish $100,000 or so.
Got a motion by Mr. Shakespeare to put it on the next agenda as a resolution form.
Second.
Got a second by Mrs. Fontenot. Any discussion? Any objection? So moved.
Thank you for your time.
If you don't mind, one quick question.
Sure,
Mr. Ryan.
Mr. Berger.
You said there was a couple times where it made sense last year to do it. Where does that number? What is that number when it makes sense?
That's a great question, Mr. Berger. The Bond Commission establishes thresholds, and they're actually adopted from an organization called the Governmental Finance Officers Association, the GFOA.
Just
hear me out. And the Bond Commission, when we go to the Bond Commission, we'll have to justify the savings and say, okay, here they net all the fees. They have different savings on a present value refunding, like this is a current refunding, if you will, which means we would literally refund all of these bonds today and pay them off today. They'd be gone. Some of them are an advanced refunding where that you borrow the money, put it in an escrow account, and pay the bonds off as they mature. On a current refunding like this is, the Bond Commission's rule is any present value savings, $1 worth of present value savings makes economic sense to do. And they get that from the Governmental Finance Officers Association of America, which almost every governmental accountant in the United States is a member of it, and those are their guidelines that they recommend. On an advanced refunding, which this is not, they have a tiered level of savings over time. And it says if you're going to advance refund these for 5 years or 3 years or 2 years, then you need to achieve a present value savings of 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%. A rule of thumb on a small issue like this is maybe 3%. On a larger issue, you may go down because of the cash flow. It really boils down to how much cash. And that's what we tell our clients is how much cash are you looking at saving. I mean, some people might say, gee, $78,000 or $71,000, is that really worth doing? Well, that's $71,000 net dollars. Is it worth doing? That's a decision that y'all have to make. Does the GFOA and the Bond Commission say it's worth doing? Yeah. And those are the rules we have to go by. Personally, I'd say on a small issue like this, you may want to be probably close to 3% net present value savings. You're at about 2% net present value savings right now. You probably want to get closer to 3%. That'd be my personal recommendation.
Thank you.
That's a long way of saying there's really no perfect answer to that, Mr. Berger.
A long way to say 3%. Thank you. I don't have any more questions.
Okay. We'll move on to number 10 then. Bayou Ball Basin study and model, Mr. Kent Shakespeare.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had, a couple months ago, we had a recommendation through Mr. Cheyenne and GSA. They'd gone through with TPW with Mr. Rue about a drainage study and model for Ball Bayou. And as everybody knows, there's in the past year and in the next future years, there's a tremendous amount of new growth and development in these areas, from Cabela's to the hospital to the Red Man truck stop area, all through there, and a number of residential developments in that area. And there's already a great deal of near flooding problems along Hodgson Road and going into the Brittany area and everything. And we really don't know, since there's no models in this area, we really don't know what is the design criteria for any improvements, anything done for these major projects. Much like what has happened on Henderson Bayou, these models that are made in the Burt Allen ditch in order to design, I think we need to be err in the eye of caution with these residences which are very close to flooding, and do a study that's going to take into account that, as speaking with Mr. Rue, we would have some real numbers, and we can ask these developers not only to do zero mitigation, but possibly withhold more water and make the drainage situation better. But we need to back it up with numbers. I spoke with representatives of URS, and they agree with the need to study and check the figures, and said that they were okay with what had been reported to us. And so with all of that information, and I would make that as a recommendation that we move forward with the Ball Bayou drainage study and model with GSA.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Kent Shanks, now second by Mr. Adrian Thompson to move forward with this study, discussion. Mr. Saboy.
Bill, that's coming as a recommendation from you.
My recommendation is that we do need a study done. URS looked at the pricing of GSA, and they agreed that the pricing is good and acceptable. And based on that, I would recommend hiring GSA.
Help me understand what changed since the meeting that I had with you, where you said that you didn't feel like a study was needed. All we needed to go in there and to do maintenance on the ditch or the bayou, just like we're doing Black Bayou.
We need some type of study. And again, I don't remember you and I talking specifically about that or me saying that. What I did say, I think, in our meeting was that it wasn't up to me to determine who would do the work. That is the determination of the commission. The only thing I can recommend is the fact that we do need some type of study in that area because nothing has been done, and it is a problem area. And we need to get some regulations and some acceptance of needed work, which we can get through the city of Gonzales as part of their planning commission, so we can require developments to help us make those improvements. But if we don't have something to go by to say what those improvements are, we have no way to sit down with the developers or contractors and make recommendations. So I think that was my comment. It's not up to me to recommend who does it, but I do recommend the fact that we do need some type of evaluation and a model.
That's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
Any more discussion? Have a motion and a second on the floor. Any objection? So moved. Number 11, I have nothing on my report.
Adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion to adjourn by Mr. Barger, second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert. Any objection? So moved.
Yeah,